But tonight, particularly, I could see why we had to have, is it 6 or 9 part introduction?
You can see it now.
How well, it only makes sense unless you know all the context too. This is the problem with all these things.
Yeah,
it takes you a lot to get all the information. Then you can actually move forward, isn't it?
This druid that you've been talking to, everything to do with Britain in these first four patriarchs of Britain, you've got the magicians, not sure what this guy was doing, but you've got the druids and you've got the bards. The fathers of the druids, the fathers of the bards, and the fathers of the magicians.
God, it does make you think of Lord of the Rings again, doesn't it? Gee whiz.
Yeah, and that is telling you that Wales, and particularly Britain, has got this huge, huge history of this, which is why we've got the Druids' history here, you know?
Because, sorry, I won't get sidetracked too much, but Tolkien said he based the dwarves on the Jewish people.
Yeah.
But when he gives his description, he's actually describing Welsh people and calling the Welsh Jewish. They're into mining and, you know, all that delving and the whole thing.
I
the stuff he couldn't say today, but I mean, his description is fascinating. And if you tie in the 1 ring, 3 rings, 7 rings, and all that, you know, it's golly gee.
Yeah, and you said something about there being the map being based on
the what? Sorry.
You could overlay the map of
oh yes, yes,
onto Wales, couldn't you?
Yes, yeah. You can see the map of Middle Earth is a copy of Wales. Yeah.
So this would all tie in with this Holinshed Chronicles as well, which was written for nearly 400 years ago. You've got all this information that's there, hinting at this history that's, you know, that we're kind of picking up now and delving into. So eventually, Samathea became known as Albion, didn't it? And we've got a rich history of Albion. It goes on for a long, long time. Now, when we look at this information, so you have to excuse me if you're going on to Wikipedia. The bit I'm interested in down here, Albion, is Alban in Welsh and Cornish. And the reason I'm interested in being Alban in Welsh and Cornish is that's where the mines are for the tin and the copper for the Bronze Age. You've got the Great Orme in North Wales, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, the curious thing is, though, with Alban in Wales, you normally refer to Scotland.
Well, the name for Scotland and Celtic lands is actually Alba in Scottish Gaelic, Albane, genitive for Alban, Irish. I've never heard of Manx. Is that like Mancunian? Is it?
Manx. No, they're Isle of Man. They're not that kind of Manx. That's Manx of the sea, that is, yeah.
But anyway,
all right, don't get leery.
Hey, so we've got this Alban anyway. So whether it be Welsh or Irish or British or Scottish or whatever, you know, we've got this Alban.
Yes.
And the reason I'm interested in this Alban is because there's, you know, I mean, I'm not going to be teaching you to suck eggs with your information that you've learned from Alan and everything, but there's a lot of backstory with this Albine and Albina that Alan talks about, you know, and I've watched a lot of his videos, and there's a lot of information out there. As it, you know, it could be sisters, it could be, you know, it could be a guy. It's really kind of open, isn't it? There's lots.
The 33 always comes up, doesn't it?
Yeah, the number 33, whether it's 33 daughters or rulers. And for me personally, the information I'm going to show you now, it kind of just pushes away from that. And it's, again, I don't know if it's an attempt to just try and blur everything and try and create a history of Britain that is so confusing that you just can't unpick it.
Yes.
So it's all buried away. Now, Alban for Albion is an anagram for Laban. Okay.
Good spot.
Now
Yes.
we're looking for a Syrian, aren't we? That came to Britain.
Oh, what? Sorry,
Through
Simeon.
a Syrian.
Oh, sorry, Syrian. Yes, sorry, my ears. But yeah,
Yeah. Through from what Alan was saying, we were looking for the eldest of sinners.
yes,
So I'm saying that Laban now is the second migration. Albion was the second migration of
right, okay,
the Syrians, because Laban, who was the father-in-law of Jacob, was also known as Laban the Syrian. Okay. Or Laban the Aramean.
right. On the way back to that Arama thing you showed, yeah,
Yeah. And that's crucial as well, the Aramean, because we've got Joseph of Arimathea, and he was associated with Jesus.
yes,
Okay.
yes. I was looking at that just today, actually. Yes,
Yeah. So this is really, really important, because Laban is an Arimathean, just like Joseph is an Arimathean. And they're both ancient Syrians.
yeah, because Arimathea is one of those. There's no place you can find called Arimathea. There's no town or village on any ancient Roman census or anything. It's obviously a corruption of something else, or it means something else.
Yeah, and I think it's probably to do with Aram Naharaim, which I'll talk to you about in a moment.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Yeah. Hang on a second.
Laban also comes from this, which means white. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
And look down here, white ones. So
wow.
What does that mean? Who are the white ones?
Is that the albinos? Is that what you're saying?
Now, well, do you remember? Well, yeah, that was a good point out, because Albion is also an anagram for albino, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Good call. Yes. Yes. You mentioned that to me a while ago. Yes.
I've actually got that on my blog as well. So Albion is an anagram for albino, which again,
yes.
And if Laban is an anagram of Alban, it all ties in with this white, because albino and is to do with the white.
It's a very clever pun, actually, isn't it? Because it's a sort of three-way pun.
Yeah, but it's white ones. And interestingly, this is where they come from.
And that's the way Caucasian. Right, okay, for Caucasus.
So we've got the Caucasus, and the white ones came from here.
Wow.
Do you think that's a coincidence?
I've never seen a good explanation for why they call white people Caucasian. It doesn't make any sense when you look into it. This is the first time it's got any sense.
This is where the white ones come from.
And that's where the migrations was to come from.
This is where the migrations come from. And you've got the Caucasus with Caucasians. So, I'm open to other ideas.
Yeah. We want to go surmise a little bit sometimes, haven't we?
Yeah.
You can't be absolutely bang on everything. But I think it's also a place around there called Cymry, I think, if you look on the map.
That wouldn't surprise
within your red circle.
That really wouldn't surprise me at all.
And then, of course, there's a theory as well that Crimea, which is just off the left, is a sort of anagram of Cymry. It's derived from Cymry. So this is the heart of where the migrations are supposed to come from.
Yeah, and this circle here...
And not just the Cymry, the other migrations as well, yeah.
But this is particularly the white area. And to just, obviously with Laban meaning white, his name meaning white ones, and this is where he came from. We also have this, which was recently, blue-eyed immigrants transformed ancient Israel 6,500 years ago. You can find that on Life Science. Okay. So were these the white ones? Were these the Labans from the Caucasus?
Yeah, where they come from otherwise, yeah.
Did these come from the Caucasus? Were these the Caucasians that went
Are
into
they
Israel?
indeed, yeah.
And this 6,500 years ago would put us right back pre-flood, probably.
Oh, almost everything, yeah.
But as I've shown with those patriarchs, they all came through the flood anyway. The Israelites, the 12 tribes are there in the Tree of Life. The 12 tribes of Israel are there.
Yeah. I wouldn't take the date too literally either. I mean, it's a long time ago is the best they can do. They shouldn't put exact numbers on things, really.
Yeah, let's just say it was a long time ago because I don't know how long that is.
Yeah, they
But
don't know either. That
just to
number
try
there's a
and
guess.
add into the white ones and stuff. The argument that that area is specific to these blue-eyed white people. So Laban was also known as Cushan-Rishathaim. Okay, I'll show that in a minute, the link to how we get to that. But Cushan-Rishathaim, I remember having watching a video with Alan saying that Diocletian was being constantly harassed by an invader, wasn't it? By a Hittite invader, I think Alan was saying that it was. I can't, if I'm wrong on that, then I do apologise because I'm just trying to recall from memory. But what I recall is that there
Laban was the one he ran into, wasn't it?
Yeah, and this is what I've picked out on is that Laban was the person that was actually causing the issues for
Diocletian.
Yeah, it was for Jacob. Well, yeah, but whether Jacob is Diocletian or not,
right?
I think.
I see. You're trying to conflate Jacob and Diocletian. Right, I'm with you now.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't being actually clear then.
Yeah.
So Alan was very clear about Diocletian and him being invaded, wasn't he?
Yes.
And having a great amount of trouble from this Hittite king who was called Laban.
Yeah.
So
and they all became named Laban after him. He was the first one, I think.
Yeah. Well, Laban is also the same as Laban. Laban in Hebrew means moon white. Okay. So it's just another form of Laban. Okay. So we know that this Laban is Laban, the one that was giving Jacob a hard time, Diocletian, the hard time. And he was also known as Cushan-Rishathaim. So in there you've got Cush. So we know
the Cushan, yeah.
Yeah, he's coming from the side of Ham, Cush.
So the one thing I missed there, sorry, I'm sorry if I missed it, was how does Diocletian become Jacob? Did you explain that?
Yeah, from what Alan said, there was Diocletian was being. Let's try and think of what he was saying. He was saying that Diocletian was being invaded, wasn't he, by a Hittite king called Laban?
Yes.
Laban one.
Yeah, the first Laban, yeah, after which they all became descendants called Laban, yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm suggesting is Laban is Labana because it's the same thing. It means white and moon white.
Right.
And the Diocletian would be Jacob, and that would be the story of Cushan-Rishathaim and Jacob having their problems. So the story of Diocletian and Labana is Cushan-Rishathaim and Jacob.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Well, that makes a big difference because then you can slot everything into the Bible generations. Then I can see why that's important.
Yeah. So catching up on all of this was really important. So here, Laban was the king of Aram Naharaim. And this was Arimathea, because look, if we go down here, it was also known as Padam Aram. It was the ancient land of the Arimatheans in the region of Mesopotamia. Okay, so it's Padam Aram and around Haran. Now, Haran in Hebrew means mountaineer. So we're talking about the mountains.
Isn't that where, oh God, not Abraham, who came from Haran?
Haran.
Was it Abraham?
Haran.
Oh, Haran came from, all right, fair enough then. No, but that's a place, isn't it? Haran. Who came from Haran?
Yeah, it's a name of a person, and it's the name of a place as well.
I thought it was Abraham, one of the patriarchs, anyway.
Yeah, it was his brother, wasn't it, Haran?
He had a brother called Haran. Moses. Yeah, okay.
No,
all these names you're right. The more you talk about it, you can see all these names get moved around and swapped about and used again, don't they? And is it actually the same thing being described 4 or 5 different ways, or is it 4 or 5 different things? This is what you have to sort of try and get your head to, isn't it?
And this is the thing that's up for debate as well. So this is, and the more that we all chip in and look around in that evidence.
Yeah, let's be constructive and positive. Hey, the vast majority of people are. I mean, it's about 1,000 people watch these. So
look at this name, Aram. Spell it backwards. It's Mara.
Right.
That's Mary. That's another version of Mary. Mara. Okay.
Right, okay.
And this is why this becomes the Arthur line, as I go into detail much further down in presentations, that this is the Mary line as well. Okay. So this is a region just in around Lebanon, just sort of northeast of Lebanon, going up through Mesopotamia, going up towards the mountains. Okay. And Laban is Cushan-Rishathaim, and he was the one that had serious issues with Jacob, and there was these well, it was the two evils that he committed against Jacob, and they never ever forgot it, mate. You know, they really have held a grudge against Laban, honestly. So yeah, this goes on to show how it's Padam Aram, and obviously it's where the Arimatheans originate from. So just to verify who Cushan-Rishathaim is, we go to the Babylonian Talmud, the actual Jewish source, which is the Sanhedrin 105a. And it actually says in here, look, that he is Beor, the father of Balaam. He is Cushan-Rishathaim. He is Laban, the Aramaean. He was called Beor because he engaged in bestiality. Now, this is a huge put down. I cover this later on. This is absolutely false. They've taken a verse which has got no relation to this kind of thing whatsoever, and they've done it to try and smear this character. Right. It's a real disgusting.
Yeah, because it's the kind of thing you don't. I mean, it's ridiculous to say, but even if it was true or whatever, you wouldn't stick it in there unless you really wanted to get to him, would you?
Yeah, it's really, really bad. And look, he was called Cushan-Rishathaim because he performed two evil deeds to the Jewish people. So this is Labana doing the deeds to Diocletian, the Jewish people. One during the time of Jacob, when he pursued him, intending to kill him, and then one during the time of Judges. Now, the interesting thing of this, so he did this here, and then he did this here, and I think there's about a 400 or 500 year gap.
I was going to say, that can't be a person, can it?
Well, it can be if he's living for a very long time. If he's
he'd have to live a long time, wouldn't he? I thought it might mean Laban, meaning the people, perhaps, like the white folk, or
well, it could be, but
rather than a person. It does say his name was Laban, yeah.
And he was identified as the Arimathean, and in these verses as well. Yeah, he's when we talk about Beor.
Yeah, more Lord of the Rings with Beor, but there we are. That's another side.
Yeah.
Well, Beor was half bear, wasn't he? He was talking about bestiality.
Yeah. So that's showing there that Laban is the same as Cushan-Rishathaim. Now, interestingly, when we get further down these presentations, we start talking about Balaam, because Balaam is actually who I'm going to claim is the real Jesus, the real physical Yeshu.
Wow.
The physical Jesus. Okay. And that comes into detail. And that's bearing in mind as well that Jesus was white. He's always portrayed as white, isn't he? He's one of the white ones, mate.
Despite the current rewriting that's going on at the moment, yes.
Yeah, he's one of the Caucasians from the Caucasus.
But it ties in with Balaam as well.
Balaam is just a title. This is where we've got to be careful. So his real name is Yeshu, and the reason he's called Yeshu is because that's the Syriac version of it. That is the proper Arimathean version. It's not Yeshua, which is the Israelite version. The Syrian version is Yeshu, and that's where we get this Yeshu ben Pandera.
There's still Yessi in Welsh churches to this day.
Yeah.
It's still spelt the same. You just say the U as an E sound, that's all.
Yeah.
The spelling's identical.
So if this Laban was the second migration and he had a son called Yeshu, this would mean that Yeshu was in Wales.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Have them onions. I wonder where Wales is going to come into this. I thought it was going to come in somewhere.
Yeah, well, this is the second migration. Laban is Albion, and he's come over here. Now he, Balaam, Yeshu, does have a mum called Miriam, which is Mary. Now, bearing in mind, they've stolen some years off of us because this is all happening around the time of Moses. So the real Jesus was around the time of Moses. Okay, the physical Jesus.
Well, that makes a big difference when you do that, though, doesn't it? That.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk some more about that, but let's go with it for now, yes.
So Moses had a sister called Miriam.
Miriam, yeah.
And she was the virgin priestess, or supposed to be the virgin priestess. But she's obviously had a baby. And she is supposed to have been the Virgin Mary. And I'll show that through the various verses as we go further down through the presentation. It won't be tonight, but it will be on another presentation. So this is a crucial character here, Yeshu, and we've got the Arimatheans. We've got Joseph of Arimathea, who would be linked in with this Yeshu, obviously, because they're all Arimatheans. They're all
and it would tie in with her not being married as well, then, if it's a sister rather than a wife of Moses, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and she was. Well, you got Aaron, Moses, and Miriam. Now, Miriam was the first female prophetess, so she was actually a prophet. Okay, Balaam was regarded as the false prophet.
As the what, sorry?
False prophet.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes.
So this title here, it means not of the people. They called him Balaam because they cast him out, like they did with Jesus. They cast him out and they called him Balaam, because in Hebrew that means not of the people. Okay?
Yeah, because of course we're looking at the Jewish from the Jewish perspective here, aren't we? So
yeah, this is from the Jewish perspective. So the Jews are looking at the Syrians. Yeshu was Syrian. Jesus was Syrian.
And you mentioned the thing there about Amar backwards as well being
Mara
or Mary, yeah.
Yeah, Aram is Mary Mara backwards, and Mara is another form of Mary.
Yes, yes.
So it is a derivation of Mary. So all of these names are linking in with some very, very important.
Bizarre thing as well. It just suddenly reminded me the very first story you told us about the first gods. You know, the male and female aspects, and the female aspect going off and begatting Jehovah or whatever the god without the male aspect. Well, there's a kind of parallel there, isn't it? If Moses is unaware or she's meant not to have children and she's done that sneaky or whatever, because the bizarre thing is this idea of a virgin birth rather than her being accused of going with someone. Well, that's like that very first two gods, isn't it? The male and female aspect. There's no hint there that she went off with another god from somewhere.
Yeah.
It just strikes me as interesting parallels there. I don't know if it's significant or not. It just suddenly echoes.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. There's parallels there, and she was also, bearing in mind that she was the first priestess of the Levites, and the Levites are the allocated priests.
Yes.
And that the actual mantle went to Aaron and his sons. They actually became the official representations.
Yeah, like a priestly class. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were basically the ruling class. And even though Miriam was a very important character in terms of being the very first female prophetess and the virgin prophetess, who basically would have her vows to the Lord, chastity, like the nuns, you know, they'd have vows of chastity to the Lord. She broke those vows of chastity. And when you go through the Talmud, the mother of Yeshu is regarded as a bit of a strumpet, isn't she? She's one that committed adultery. If you remember back, she was regarded as committing adultery, the mother of Yeshu ben Pandera. And I'm saying that Miriam obviously committed adultery against the Lord by getting with Laban.
Not worshipping at the temple where we are.
Yeah, well, probably having a good old rumble with Laban on the temple.
As if this wasn't controversial enough. For anybody yet not offended or upset, keep going.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist it.
We've covered almost every base.
Yeah, but what's interesting about this, though, there's this real thing about this evil deed that Laban and Balaam,
Yes.
especially Balaam, committed against the Jewish and the Israelites. And bearing in mind that Jesus had the same kind of
Oh, exactly the
stigma
same
against
situation.
him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly the same. So we've got a character, and now Balaam rode a donkey as well. Okay, so it's the same thing as Jesus, that he rode a donkey as well.
See,
But this thing,
this ties
go
in
on,
with so
mate.
much what I'm doing at the moment with that new chronology and flamenco and all that kind of thing. Because what you often find, well, their argument anyway, which is the same argument in a way, is quite often you find ideas of prophecies or events reoccurring after long gaps. And they argue quite often, no, it was just one event.
Mm.
There wasn't the same, almost identical thing happened. Then the same identical thing happened. Unless it's very similar to what you're proposing here, that it didn't all happen here and then all happen there. This is the same place. What's happened is this time or years, dates have been shoved in for some reason to elongate the history.
Yeah, totally. And if you're going to believe that the scriptures, then you've got 1,000 years between this Balaam and Jesus. When clearly, when you strip away everything, they are so similar in terms of what they're doing and how they offend the Jewish elite, the Israelite elite. How Jesus was a bit of an outcast because he was claiming to be the son of God, and all of that comes apparent when you understand. Laban was the son of Bethuel, and Bethuel was the son of Milcah. And when you understand who these people were, you get an idea of who Laban is. And you actually end up coming to the conclusion that Laban is the blacksmith. Okay, he is the blacksmith that came over on the second migrations to mine the tin and the copper for the Bronze Age wars that he was waging against Jacob. Now, they're always moaning about what he did, these evil things that he did. But what did Jacob do to Esau? He stole
So
it
his
from
birthright,
him.
yeah.
Yeah. His name means supplanter in Hebrew. Supplanter is to take something by deception. So what are they chatting about? Why are they whinging that he's doing these deeds? And actually, what Balaam was doing was going around healing people. He was a healer. They didn't like it, because he was healing people. Jacob even went to him to heal something. It's in the Talmud.
Wow.
There's lots of verses in the Talmud where Jacob and other patriarchs have gone to Balaam to heal people.
Well, that's
And
a
yet,
definite strong relationship there, isn't there, with the healing and everything.
yeah, absolutely. And it's there's so many connections. It's
There's something
it's
interesting I'd like
amazing.
to, because I guess the one, oh, sorry, I don't want to hold things up. You got the next thing, but this one is just something to come back to, I think, is that the one thing we have to untangle here is in the Bible accounts, there's this genealogy leading up to Jesus, isn't there?
Mm.
Solomon, David, all the way down. There's, I don't know how many, got a lot, 40 odd generations, I think, leading through. And one of the things, so that'd be interesting to look at, because if these years didn't exist, who are these people? And one of the things it reminds me of, if you look at Wilson and Blackett's, Alan Wilson's work on a lot of the kings lists in the British histories are not lists at all. They are messages that you have to read in the right language, and you get a message from that. Because I always think it's weird that you get this genealogy at the front of the New Testament. If it's the Son of God, how can he have all these generations running through his father?
Yeah, or it's a bit
There's
like
something needs
avatars,
explaining
aren't
there.
they?
Pardon, sorry.
They're a bit like avatars, and I think there's a good debate that can be had as to whether or not that the characters are real individuals or whether they relate to celestial objects or heavenly objects and constellations and stars. there's lots and lots of information out there for everybody to look at, and you can decide for yourself as to whether or not these people were actually real people. I'm
Yes.
on the side that they were.
Well, I think it'd be
I
interesting to
do think,
translate all the names on the genealogy leading down to Jesus and see if you can read it, if it's actually a
yeah,
text.
yeah. But getting back to
Yeah, sorry, yeah,
this,
go on. Yeah.
this Milka here, this is important because this is the great grandmother, the grandmother of Laban. Now, we've had a little bit of a chat about whether there's Hebrews and Israelites being separate things.
And which one's which?
I just want to highlight that there for you. Look, the name of a Hebrew S and
And of
an
an Israelite, yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
So there's Hebrews and there's Israelites.
Oh, excuse me, two separate things, though. Yes, I take your point.
Yeah. So this Milcah, she was the wife of Nahor, and Nahor was the grandfather of Abraham.
First murder victim, that Abel.
Excuse me, Abel.
I think you said Abel. Sorry, she was married to
Nahor.
Oh, sorry, Nahor. Sorry, my hearing's not really good today. Nahor, I misheard you. I thought, how could she marry Abel? Yeah, there we go. Nahor. Right, okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so she married Nahor, and she had a son called Bethuel. And Bethel is a place in Wales as well.
Yeah.
So this Bethuel, on some of later slides, I go on to show how this Bethuel was basically an archetype for Zeus, just another name for him. And Milcah, being the queen, could possibly have been Ereshkigal, the queen of the great earth, which is all to do with the Sumerian, Inanna's descent to the underworld. So Ereshkigal was the sister, or alleged to be the older sister of Inanna. And if you
back to Inanna again.
I said Inanna was Sarah, or Sarai.
Yeah.
Okay. Now
Sarah, wife of Abraham, yeah?
Yeah, the wife of Abraham. Now Sarah, or Sarai, not Sarah, because she changes her name to Sarah. She begins as Sarai. Okay. Sarai means princess. So that would kind of fit in with Ereshkigal being the queen and Sarai being the princess, because she was the younger sister.
Yeah, because you've got the two sisters in the story of Abraham as well, haven't we?
Yeah. Now, down here, what's that? We've got the Egyptian Ankh, by the looks of it. Almost.
A weird feat.
Yeah, they're not, well, this is also known as, she's supposed to have been known as Lilith as well. Now, have you heard these stories of Lilith?
Lilith, yes.
Yeah, the demon.
Yes. No, she's big in the Babylonian thing, yeah.
Yeah, and interestingly, we've got owls.
There's Athena.
Now, yeah, the owls of Athena. So this is Athena, just in a different time and a different location. Yeah. So she would then go on to become Athena through somewhere else, and she would also be Inanna as well, because they're all kind of mixed in and just having different avatars. And as I showed with that Jabal and Jubal, there's deities that are playing multiple characters, or seem to be playing multiple characters.
Yes. And again, she's standing on the lions on this picture.
Yeah, she's standing on the lions again. So there we've got Bethuel, and this comes from Bata and El. So remember when we was talking about El, the main god.
Yeah, that's where we started it all. Yeah.
Yep. So we've got this. Bethuel means destroyed of God. What is it going to destroy? What is this group of people trying to destroy? Because this is the lineage of Laban and Yeshu. What were they trying to destroy? What is it about the Israelites that they were trying to destroy? That they've actually then gone in with their sister, Sarah, who's Inanna, who then gets married to Abraham. And that's the end of that for tonight.
Oh, that's just hanging. Oh, no. Come back next week, folks. We'll dig part and escape.
I was on the end of the slide then.
So you can't stop there.
That's where we've got up to. I've got to stop there, mate. I need to toilet. I need to have.
Yeah, no, that's enough for one night. Yeah. It's 20 to 11, isn't it? Oh man, that was brilliant. That's brilliant. The first thing I do now is I watch it all again. Then straight away, me and Angie sit there and watch it like 3 or 4 times. Then, but tonight particularly, I could see why we had to have. Is it 6 or 9 part introduction?
You can see it now.
But it only makes sense unless you know all the context too. This is the problem with all these things.
Yeah,
it takes you a lot to get all the information. Then you can actually move forward, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a bit like that Wilson and Blackett's stuff. You read all the books. They all just seem bonkers at first, but that is huge tonight, man. That is really exciting.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg because
what?
We've then got to go into how Sarah goes and obviously marries Abraham, and Sarah. She is basically the template for Israel. You know.
Yeah, because you've left us hanging on that question. Was that deliberate? We're going to wait for next time. What they keep wanting to destroy all the time.
Yeah, well,
was I meant to know the answer to that? Or do I feel really stupid?
You can say the answer. What's your answer to it?
I don't have an answer. I don't know what they're trying to destroy.
When you look at the story of Enki and Inanna, okay, you've got to go back to the old Sumerian theologies, and you've got to go back to their mythology. And there is this ongoing battle between Enki and Inanna.
Yeah, it's to do with chaos and stuff, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's because, well, the story goes was that Enki got a little bit drunk one night and he handed over a load of his powers to Inanna. And when he tried to get them back, she was like, "Yeah, go away. You ain't having them back. I've got them." And this is basically a war between the 2 parties. So where I was saying Enki would be representative of Shem and Jabal, you know, Abraham and all of those folks. You've got these Hamites coming in because these are from the Ham lineage. You know,
this rivalry goes all the way back.
Yeah, it goes all the way back. Well, it goes all the way back to the very beginning because it's about the ego having a fight with itself. Because
is it the Jewish people against the world? I still don't know who's destroying who. I have to have a think about that.
It's about the 2 family lines. So we're going to be going back to the Canaanite line and the Holy line. And it's about different godheads representing each of the lines. Enki represents one of the lines and Inanna represents the other. And that's where we've got this battle. And I'm not saying that they are specifically out to destroy the Jews. Let's get that into perspective. Okay, that's not what I'm saying.
No, I wasn't saying that either. No, I was saying that are the 2 gods and the 2 people trying to destroy each other? That was the point I was trying to make.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's the two godheads trying to get one over on each other. And these guys represent the old gods. So these would be the Titans. If we're going to go back in time, these would be recognized as the Titans.
Wow.
Okay. Bethuel is the beginning of the Olympians because this is Zeus. Okay. Now, Zeus had a son, didn't he, called Hephaestus.
Yeah, again, he's the clang guy, another blacksmith.
And Hephaestus is also known as a lame god.
Yeah.
Okay, he was a lame god. Well, Balaam is also known as a lame person. They
got the one in there, Mabinogi's name I should know. I'm kicking myself.
Now, Hephaestus also has a donkey. Okay. Hephaestus
has a donkey.
Yeah, Hephaestus rides a donkey as well.
No, I didn't know that.
He's taken back to Olympus by who is it? He was taken back to Olympus. Who's the one that drinks? Who's the god of the
Dionysus.
Dionysus, yeah, that's it. Thank you. He was basically made tipsy by Dionysus and then taken back to Olympus on the back of a donkey. That's the story of.
See, that's interesting because somebody I haven't put up with Hugh yet, but he was saying, oh God, I had so many chats with people. I'm pretty sure it's Hugh. Yes, it was Hugh about this whole idea of the grape and they're getting drunk. He's saying the first thing Noah did after he saved the world was get drunk.
Yeah.
And Dionysus gets drunk, and you got this branch, which will show. I've got to get the views up as fast as I can. The branch shows the lineage. And if you look on the gravestones up in North Wales, a lot of them haven't got crosses or suns. They got these branches, like a piece of. It's not really grapes. It's just a branch, like a sprue, you know.
Yeah.
And that's on the coffins. Like this the lineage they're talking about. That's how Hugh reads it. And you love it because it translates into Welsh as well. A lot of these words you're mentioning, they are in Welsh, like Beth and El, and all these words are all there.
Well, this is the place in Wales.
Yeah, and the words come through as well. You know, it's all coming together, man. It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's taken a little bit of time to get there, but
it's worth it. It's great.
Yeah, and it ties in all of these old. This is why we see the end of these guys, really, because these were the titans. These were the old gods.
Well, when did the giants come into it? I know it sounds mad, but I get people contacting me more and more telling about stories of blinking giants and these old reports. There was the giants actually were giants in Britain and stuff.
Yeah, well.
And now you're saying these are titans, and it's like, well, I don't know you don't know what to think anymore, do you? Because so much of what you previously conceived as bonkers turns out to be true.
Yeah, and we'll go on the next few presentations.
Oh, I'll let you go now then. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sarah ties into this and how she's actually, Sarah becomes Inanna, and Inanna, I think if I remember rightly, she was all to do with politics as well. She was the god of politicians or politics or something as well, and that is symbolic as well because when she goes across to Abraham, as we've discussed before, there's this change from the old gods to the new gods. We go from God to the Lord.
Yes.
To worship.
Yeah, I remember that from.
From the previous one, and she was representative of that. Sarai going in and marrying Abraham, whilst because
that whole. I'm gonna have to look at that. Well, again, I want to keep you again now, but the whole thing about marrying the two. And the one was the princess, and one was the queen, and that's I can see why that's important now. I have to revise that again in my brain.
Yeah. So if anybody comes in on just this video, good luck.
Yeah, I've watched this before. Good luck holding this. Oh, thanks, Luke. It's brilliant. Wow, and thank you again to Luke. Amazing stuff. All this work, different fields, all come together. So you're all aware by now, live show every Sunday, 8 o'clock. Join us for that, join the discussion. Please remember, put some comments on this video. See what you think, if you've got any more input to make on it. What do you feel about the information? What does it add? I mean, to me, it's just mind-blowing. And I watch the whole thing again. So remember there, Luke will be coming back again soon, hopefully. We'll have another little set of videos up. So remember to obviously subscribe and hit that notifications bell. So you'll see when that video comes up. But there's stuff on the channel most days, all about languages, ancient history, Arthurian history, all sorts of stuff from our incredibly rich, diverse and fascinating history, which for bizarre reasons has been hidden. But it's not lost yet, it's not gone, it's just hidden. So until the next time, hello.